I'm joined now by Richard Corbett, MEP for Yorkshire and the Humber. And my first question is, what's so important about the Lisbon Treaty?
It reforms the European Union to make it capable of functioning effectively now that it has expanded so much with more and more countries joining it, and in order to increase the democratic accountability of the Union. You could say they're two sides of the same coin. If it's going to work better to deliver better on those policies that we want to work on jointly with our neighbouring countries at European level, where there's an advantage in doing so, fine, but the other side of the coin is to make sure that what we do at European level is properly accountable for and is democratically controlled.
And do you think there should have been a referendum on the issue?
Britain has never, ever in its history ratified an international treaty by means of a referendum. It would be, we don't even deal with major domestic issues by means of referenda. So it would be strange to start with a treaty that does things like change the term of office of the President of the European Council from 6 months to 30 months. I mean, wow. Have a referendum on that? But some of these measures were included in the proposed EU constitution, which the government said there would be a referendum on. Well, a lot of the things in the Lisbon Treaty were in the very long list of things that the Constitution would have done. But remember that the argument for a referendum on the Constitution was precisely because people said at the time, this isn't an ordinary international treaty, this is a constitution. And indeed it repealed all the treaties which we have ratified over the years on which the European Union is founded, in order to re-found the EU on a new legal basis called a constitution. And that's why there was an argument to have a referendum on it, because it was something new. It was a constitution, not an international treaty of the classical sort. That approach, however, was abandoned when France and the Netherlands rejected it. Most EU countries approved it, but two said no, and you need everybody to agree to change the treaties in the European Union. So they abandoned that. They said, OK, instead we'll keep the existing treaties that we've already approved. We won't repeal them, we'll just amend them on specific points. So that is now a normal international treaty. We've never, even for European treaties, like even more significant ones like Maastricht and Amsterdam, we've never dealt with that by referendum. We're a parliamentary democracy. That's what we elect people to the House of Commons to do.
But do you understand why people would think that there should be a referendum over the issue? I mean, in the early days of the discussion about the Constitution, Tony Blair described it as just being a tidying up exercise, and then he changed his mind and said it was more than that. So do you understand how people may perceive this to be more than just a reform treaty?
I think it was Peter Hain who said it was a tidying up exercise, which of course it was in part, but it was also more than that as it gradually took shape as those negotiations continued, and people said, well, let's do more than that, let's sweep away the existing treaties and have a constitution. So that's how that came about. But yes, I can understand if people keep on getting told by opponents of the European Union, look, this is going to be the end of Britain. What did I hear the other day? That with this treaty we would lose our seat on the Security Council, which is nonsense. That the Queen would be removed from our passports, which is nonsense. That French armed police would be entitled to come and roam our streets, which is nonsense. If you heard all that, you'd say, gosh, this is quite dramatic. It's going to affect our existence and sovereignty as a country. I want to vote on that. Of course you'd ask for a vote if that's what you're told about it.
A number of Labour MPs voted in favour of a referendum. Do you think they were misguided, or did they have some kind of agenda?
I think they were wrong to do so. They were balanced not completely evenly by some Conservatives who voted against a referendum, Kenneth Clarke and David Curry, for instance, from Yorkshire. It's an issue which has often gone slightly across party lines, but less so recently, because the British Conservative Party is now the only Conservative party in Europe to oppose the treaty. Every Socialist party, every Liberal party, every Conservative party, every Christian Democrat party in the European Union, in the mainstream, supports this treaty, with the sole exception of the British Conservatives.